Okay. Shannon Sharpe allegedly accidentally went live on IG while getting freaky and claims he was hacked. Quote, beware my account. Instagram was hacked this morning. My team and I are working vigorously to figure this out. Unk. Okay. So I saw the video, right? So I was like Gene Hackman. Gene Hackman was in a film called The Conversation, directed by Francis Ford Coppola. And in the film, he's listening to a tape. And I was like this. I was like, because you don't see anything. So you hear like there's a lot of moaning. There's a lady moaning. There's grunting. Loud grunts too. There's a please in there. My commentary is okay. The best commentary is Ron Killings. He's R-Truth in the WWE. I guess he was live when IG Live was going on. Like Ron Killings was there, and his commentary was fantastic. Like he could do this all the time. He's really good at this. But yeah, there was a lot of moans, droning, grunts. Hey man, Unc works hard. You know, he's just having a good time. But here's the thing. I don't think I think it was an accident. He said he was hacked. I think it was an accident. I think he had the phone. The phone was on the bed originally because you saw a ceiling fan, and then the phone got knocked off on the bed, and then we just saw the floor. So we didn't see anything. We didn't see any bodies. We didn't see anything. We just heard sounds, right? So I don't think he was hacked. I think he was careless with the phone. But we do it all the time. We butt dial people. We think we turn off a TikTok or a YouTube video and still going. We press one button and we call somebody that we didn't mean to call. Like our phones are kind of tricky. So here's a tip for everybody, unconcluded. If you're about to get freaky and you got your phone with you, turn that thing off. Take out the battery. Put it someplace, put it in another room so people can't hear you what you're doing. But people act like that he actually like he made a bit of him getting on with his chick and he uploaded it on an OF. Like, no. Listen, there's teachers like that. Like there's teachers, some teachers don't make a lot of money. So they say, hey, I need to supplement my income. So I'm gonna make this freaky video for OF and I'm gonna upload it with a different name. No one will know. And then one day they get caught and the teacher gets fired. It's like, how did this happen? It's like, well, people got phones, students got phones, parents got phones. And then one day, your sixth grader says, is that Miss Goodbody? Hey, teachers, if you're going to do that, I understand. A lot of y'all don't make a lot of money, but, be careful with that because you will get fired. But back to Unc. So I'm fascinated because I watch Nightcap a lot. So I'm fascinated to see what Shannon Sharpe says about this. So I don't think ESPN's going to fire him. People are trying to equate this to what happened to Paul Pierce. Paul Pierce had an IG before he got fired. He had an IG of him and strippers, and then ESPN fired him. Now, I didn't think ESPN should have fired him over that because that was his personal time. If he wants to have strippers, he has strippers. There was nothing. They weren't doing anything horrible. It wasn't like no people having sex or anything like that. That wasn't happening. It's just girls half naked walking around and guys playing cards or whatever. So I never thought he should have got fired over that. The thing was, ESPN was cutting salaries left and right, so he kind of gave them an out to get rid of him. Now, to be honest, it was like, did we really miss Paul Pierce? Like, it proved when he was on Undisputed, it's kind of like, eh. It's like, Paul Pierce is fine. Like, when Paul Pierce was with KG's great. Like, if that was KG and ESPN fired him, I was like, man, KG's great. What are you guys doing? But he's not KG. Paul Pierce is Paul Pierce. And Paul Pierce is kind of like, eh. He's like, eh. So that was no loss when he left ESPN, even though ESPN probably had the worst NBA analysts on TV. So let me switch this around. I think one of the reasons why people are upset with Shannon, one, it seems like people just don't like Shannon's success, which is weird. But what happened earlier this week, because it hasn't been a good week for Shannon, earlier this week, Chad Ochocinco, his partner on Nightcap, was late. And Ocho said, well, my driver liked his keys in his car, because I can't remember if he had an Uber or something like that. So we waited till he got his keys out, then I got here. And then Shannon was kind of perturbed. But that was a bad day for Shannon because the production was all off. So he was having a bad day just overall. Shannon was. So people was jumping on Shannon saying, hey, you shouldn't have done that to Ochocinco live. You should have done that behind the scenes. So technically, yeah, he probably should have talked to Chad behind the scenes. But maybe he talked to Chad about this before. Like the one thing that Chad said when Shannon was kind of going at him about being late, Chad would basically say, hey, man, I'm just going to be me. I'm just going to be me. And that's the main difference between Chad and Shannon, even as players. Listen, I love Chad Johnson. I love the whole Ochocinco thing. I was a big fan of the Bengals when it was Chad and Hushmanzada and Carson Palmer was the quarterback, and Marvin, I think Marvin Williams. I forgot Marvin's name, coach Marvin, was the coach. I really felt like they should have gone to the Super Bowl. They were that good. They really was. Um, the problem was I don't think that team was as disciplined as they could have been. Flip that over to Shannon. Shannon played under Dan Reeves. John Elway was his quarterback. They lost like, I can't remember. I don't remember how many 4 Super Bowls they went to with that team. I can't remember. It was a lot, but they lost them all. And then Mike Shanahan took over, and then they won 2. With Terrell Davis was then added to that crew. But Dan Reeves, Mike Shanahan, very disciplined guys. Shannon Sharpe, Shannon's brother, very disciplined player. I'm sure John Elway as a quarterback was very disciplined. And then Shannon goes to Baltimore and plays with Ray Lewis. Ray Lewis, Ray got his own issues, but when it came to the field, very disciplined. So Shannon just was nothing but discipline, just trying to be great. And he prepares really hard. I mean, Shannon was like a 7th round pick. And so he always had to work hard to be better. He knows that he had speaking issues, like when he took over. I think he was a stutterer too, maybe at one point. But Shannon is just a guy who works hard. He shows up early. He stays late. Like that's how he's wired. And I think that's what he wants from Ocho. Like I think he said this too. Like the one thing that people missed from it when he was kind of, and he wasn't horrible. It wasn't like he was cussing out Chad. He was just kind of like he was just come on, man. I think he said he just want Ocho. He want them to be great. Like he wants Nightcap to be great, and Nightcap as it is really, really good. But I think Shannon wants them to be even better, and I think part of that is Chad being on time. I think Chad is one of those guys that kind of cuts it close to the vest. He's like, no, I'll be there. Don't worry about me. I got it. He's one of those dudes, and most of the times he does. Like I think we know guys like this. We know people like this. Like they always seem to cut it close to the vest. So it's like, man, you got to be here at 7:00, bro. I got you. And he's there at 6:58. And they record from their home. So I think if only thing, and I'm the same way. If Chad could show up before recording, so if they record at 7:00, if Chad is at least there by 6:30, or he's there by 6:00, just to prepare, he can prepare for the show. He could mess around with his chick if he wants to. He could eat before they go. Like I think if Chad, I think Chad means well. I think Chad Johnson with Shannon Sharpe are a great combination. Whenever they have like Gilbert Arenas in with Shannon, it's not the same because Gilbert is it's just annoying, and sometimes his takes is just horrible. I enjoy seeing Chad laugh at Shannon Sharpe's jokes, or when Shannon's being serious and Chad is laughing. It's a great, really great, really, really good show. And I think Shannon wants them to be even better. So I understand Shannon. Yeah, Shannon could have talked to Chad behind the scenes, sure, but he did what he did. I think he kind of apologized later. But the funny thing is how people are so upset by this because there's no accountability today. Man, me growing up, you was accountable to your parents, your grandparents, your teachers, the neighbors. Like you couldn't breathe because everybody was like checking you. People don't get checked anymore. Like, man, I said, because I was a teacher at one time, when they took out paddling out of schools, it was kids knew at that point detention meant nothing. Detention to kids is like, oh, I'm just hanging out with my friends. So you got that culture. Parents don't really parent anymore. So whenever when they get older and someone criticizes somebody, or they kind of hold someone accountable, it's like, how dare you hold him accountable or her accountable? What's wrong with you? It's like, dude, that's what he's supposed to be. People got to get checked sometimes. Yeah, maybe Shannon went a little bit over, but he loves Ocho and he just wants him to be great. But yeah, man, we live in a very non-accountable society. And it's always fascinating to me how people get upset when someone tries to check someone and says, listen, I'm just trying to help you out to make you better. But people said, no, just leave them alone. Be who they are. And that's why we get some of the anarchy we have today. So shout out to Unc, man. Getting his freak on. Just turn off your phone, man. It was funny, but Jesus. And stop all that grunting. Ugh.